A man gets knocked out cold on his own porch by a small, fast-moving UAP. In Colorado, security footage caught a strange, skinny creature walking around a woman's driveway. No one knows what it was. And a floating, shape-shifting figure was caught on camera in Mexico, gliding across a yard while nearby dogs completely lose it. These are times real aliens were caught on surveillance cameras. Ladies and gents, for the first time on the channel, I believe, we have a mysterious flying object knocking a man out cold right on his front porch. This is one of the wildest clips I've ever seen doing videos like this. So it starts off pretty normal. We have some home security footage capturing a guy walking into his house. About 10 seconds go by though, and then this happens. So did you catch that? We might have to slow this one down so you can see it. So this small glowing object flies across the lawn at crazy speed, zips into the doorway, and then the dude just falls back onto the grass, like totally out cold. The way he just flops back and ragdolls like that, it's insane. If this video is staged, then this guy must be a stuntman or something, because that was a gnarly fall. This happened a couple years ago in La Junta, Colorado, and it's still one of the weirdest pieces of home security footage on the internet. So a woman named Vivian Gomez said that her porch camera picked something up late one night. The next morning, she checked the footage and saw what you're looking at here. Nobody actually knows what it was. Dobby from Harry Potter, maybe, or an alien? Vivian posted the video on Facebook and it exploded. It racked up over 10 million views in less than a week, and soon big news stations were showing up to cover it. Vivian said, "I showed my son and we were both just saying, what the heck is that?" She didn't feel super threatened by whatever the thing was, but she did admit she fixed her screen door after, just to be on the safe side. The creature was never seen again, and Vivian says she still has no idea what she caught on camera. In her own words, the verdict is still out. Some people think aliens are out there somewhere. Others believe they're already here, living among us. And this security footage from Mexico has a lot of people wondering if that might actually be true. The video shows this weird floating thing drifting over some bushes and landing in someone's yard. Then it slowly glides off, up the hill and onto the road, shifting and changing shape as it moves, growing into something that almost kind of looks like a person, maybe? Now, normally you'd think this was just a trick of the camera or some cheap editing, but here's the part that really got people talking. The dogs in the yard saw the whole thing. They absolutely freaked out, barking at it, then just standing there utterly confused. The video blew up on Twitter, or X, and a lot of people in the comments seemed convinced. Nobody's been able to explain what this thing is. Whatever it was though, it definitely shook those dogs. This is a TikToker named Dua Lupe. No surprise why she goes by that name. I mean, my god, the resemblance is uncanny. Anyway, the face that appears in the window behind her does not look like Dua Lipa. Quite the opposite, actually. Now, I could stare at Dua Lipa all day. The face in the window, though, I can barely look at for more than a few seconds without wanting to piss myself. That is pretty nightmarish. Remember when I was a kid, I always had this weird fear, totally like not for any reason or anything, that I would look out my window and just see a face suddenly appear and stare into my room at me. It kind of looked like that, so that's a no thank you for me. Just what in the hell is this thing? A man named Alejandro Hernandez from Mexico was driving home one night when he noticed a black shape hovering in the sky. He had no idea what he was seeing, so he decided to stop the car to get a better look, and that's when he pulled out his phone and started recording, because whatever this thing was, it was not normal. Unlike most strange videos of things floating in the sky, this doesn't look like a UFO though. This looks more human-shaped, like someone in a cloak. The way it just silently, smoothly glides through the air, it's just eerie. What do you all think about this one though? Is it genuine? Is it a hoax? Share your thoughts down in the comments. So here's one that made the rounds online a while back, and yeah, it's creepy, but also kind of funny in the way that only real reactions can be. A group of nurses were working a night shift when they decided to go check out a floor in their hospital that's rumored to be haunted. Staff and patients had been talking for a while about weird stuff happening up there. They'd hear unexplained noises, they'd see shadows, usual spooky hospital stuff. It was a slow night, so they figured, why don't we just go check it out? Well, they walked into one of the rooms, and then this happens.
Oh, the curtain moved.
No,
Yeah, it did. It moved.
So suddenly one of the curtains moves. It slides. There's no one close to it, but it sort of moves as if someone has brushed past it or even like opened it. Now on its own, maybe that's not so crazy, right? But then this happens.
Yeah, it did. It moved. It moved. It moved. Yes, it did. It did. How did you not see that? Oh, okay.
As soon as that thing falls down, they split back down the hallway and are off of that floor. And understandably. This next clip comes from Sal Guerrero Juega on TikTok. He and some friends are sitting around the table finishing up dinner. He pans the camera across the table before coming to a dead stop by an open doorway where he sees this. Someone, or maybe something, is just sitting in the darkness staring into the doorway. It's impossibly pale, its facial features are blurry, and it has this odd shape to it. I mean, just what is that thing? Is it a statue? It'd be a pretty freaky statue. I'm not sure who would ever want to have that thing sitting on their lawn, but to each their own. I mean, to me, it kind of looks like the pale lady from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. So again, that's gonna be a no thanks. This next clip was shared to TikTok by Robert What 47. He was walking through the woods one night when suddenly his dog Ollie started getting agitated, barking at something in the tree line. Robert takes a moment to look around and find out what's spooking his dog, and that's when this happens. So not only was the screeching sound freaky, but notice what looked like glowing orange eyes peeking out from the brush. Takes him a couple moments to collect himself after hearing and seeing that, but then he wisely decides to get the hell out of there. In June of 2009, a man calling himself Peter Bergman checked into the Sligo City Hotel in Ireland. He said he was from Austria and gave a Vienna address, but later, police found that that address didn't exist. Over the next few days, security footage showed him walking around the city carrying a purple plastic bag that he kept disposing of in different places, always out of the camera's view. It looked like he was deliberately trying not to be seen getting rid of whatever was inside the bag. Then on June 16th, his body was found on Ross's Point Beach. He was wearing swimming trunks with underwear over them and a t-shirt tucked in. There was no ID, no wallet, no money. Every label on his clothing had been cut off. Police couldn't find anything to identify him. The autopsy showed he had advanced prostate cancer, bone tumors, and heart disease, but oddly, no medication of any kind was in his system. No one ever came forward to identify him, and no match was ever found for his fingerprints or dental records and DNA. After 5 months, the case was closed and he was buried in an unmarked grave. To this day, this man is a complete mystery. And finally, we have a wild Bigfoot video from Russia. A group of people were filming near their property after spotting something weird darting through the woods. And when you see what they caught on camera, it's definitely not what you'd expect. Well, now you expect it because I said it's Bigfoot, but they were not expecting to see what they saw. As you can see, something big comes sprinting through the trees, but here's the part that really stands out. The thing isn't stumbling around or moving, like some guy in a costume. It's fast, it's agile, it's leaping across uneven ground like it's done it a million times before. Whether you believe in this piece of footage is a genuine Bigfoot sighting or not, you gotta admit, that's a level of effort you don't often see in stuff like this. That's why this clip keeps popping up in Sasquatch forums and YouTube breakdowns. I'm not saying I'm a full-on believer, but I can't lie, I've watched this one more than a few times. Back in May, a live webcam aimed at a cruise ship docked off the coast of Cozumel near Cancun, Mexico, caught this saucer-shaped object zip right across the screen. Now at first, it's easy to miss, but when the footage is slowed down, you see this shiny, dark metallic disc-looking thing flying way too fast to be a bird, drone, or a bug. Whatever it was, it didn't behave like a normal bug or aircraft. It just shot past the lens. Actually, it moves so fast that it kind of looks like it suddenly appears and then disappears rather than flying off. There's been a rise in UFO sightings lately, especially after 2024. Strange lights have been spotted in the skies over New Jersey and other states. The Pentagon claimed it was all just drones or planes, but if that's the case, why did the House Intelligence Committee have a classified briefing about it? As journalist Nick Pope put it, one question people should be asking is why the House Intelligence Committee briefing was classified. Good question. So here's a weird one out of Indiana. Back in October of 2024, a bunch of glowing orange orbs were caught on camera zipping through the sky near the Grissom Joint Air Reserve Base, just south of Kokomo. There were 6 or more of these things flying in formation, hovering, flickering, and then just vanishing into thin air. People on the ground were totally freaked out. One person filming said, "I think those are UFOs, and I really don't feel comfortable going to sleep tonight." Same. If I saw that. Well, the footage showed the lights darting across the sky, but it wasn't just people on the ground who noticed. One witness checked the Doppler radar, which is normally used by weather stations to track storms, and they noticed a giant rectangular shape with what looked like a vapor shockwave trailing behind it. A vapor shockwave is a trail that forms when something moves super fast through the air, usually at or near the speed of sound. According to them, this thing was approximately 20 miles in length. Like, what even is that? Now, skeptics jumped in. Alejandro Rojas from Enigma Labs said it looked like military flares because the lights lit up and faded in succession, which is apparently how flares behave. He said the telltale signs are the lights being in a row and lighting up and disappearing in succession. Still, this wasn't an isolated event. Just a few months earlier, there were similar UFO reports near military bases in Virginia. The Air Force didn't say a word about it. Alright, so let's talk about the Mosul Orb, this strange metallic sphere that showed up over Iraq in 2016. This thing was caught on camera by a US spy plane while flying over the city of Mosul. The clip is only about 4 seconds long, but it's pretty wild. You see this perfectly round metallic ball cruising through the air. There's no exhaust coming out of it, there's no visible propulsion, and it clearly does not look like your standard drone. The footage was finally released thanks to a Freedom of Information request by independent journalist Dustin Slaughter, and it ended up being shown to the public by Jeremy Corbell. You might know him as the guy behind the Bob Lazar documentary. Corbell called it the, quote, first military filmed image of a UAP over an active conflict zone, and went on to say, quote, origin, capability, operator, and intent have not been determined in relation to this intelligently controlled UFO, end quote. The Pentagon has confirmed there are hundreds of these metal orbs being tracked all over the world, especially in the Middle East and South Asia. Some were spotted hovering, others just flying off at insane speeds. One witness even described a 1,000-foot wide silver disc floating above the 4 corners in the US. Even if only half of this stuff is legit, it's no wonder Corbell said it's time for, quote, full declassification and open scientific analysis. Don't film TikTok dances alone in dingy underground parking lots. You might have a shadow person morph out from the concrete and lurk behind your back. That's what happened to this girl. You gotta look really closely, but something does seem to appear right behind her, a dark, shadowy figure. Not ominous at all. Who or what is it? Where did it come from? What does it want? I can't say. I just hope this girl wasn't engulfed by some nefarious dark force and dragged down to the depths of the shadow realm for eternity. If anyone knows if this person's done videos since, give us like a proof of life update in the comments. So this clip aired on CNN in early July 2009, just a couple weeks after Michael Jackson died. They were doing a segment from inside Neverland Ranch, walking through the house with a reporter giving commentary. After the segment aired though, a good number of people flocked to the internet claiming that they'd seen something odd in the footage. So in the background there was this dark, human-shaped figure moving across the far end of the hallway. At first glance it looks like a shadow, but there are a few things that made people take a second look. First, no one is visible walking around in that area at the time, and there's no crew member seen entering or exiting. That hallway is in full view and nothing else in the frame really explains the movement. And then when people started slowing it down and enhancing the footage, it got weirder. The shadow has a kind of upright human posture. It's not just a flicker of light, and you'll notice the shadow seems to cast its own faint shadow on the floor as it moves across. And then there's the shape itself. Some viewers pointed out the figure kind of matches that classic MJ silhouette, that tilted head, the gliding motion he was known for. Pretty weird stuff. Now, don't you just hate it when the book you're holding morphs into a completely different color? I mean, it just makes life so much more confusing than it needs to be. Watch this. Now, how did his book immediately change color like that? First thought is that he might have had more than one book and then switched them as he was walking behind the car, but that's not what it looks like at all. I don't see any shifting going on. His arms never change position. He's just walking in this smooth straight line, but then abruptly book goes from red to green. People posted all kinds of theories, but one dude on Reddit had a pretty interesting answer. User Yodan wrote, "I work graphics for the news. This is 110% some producer for the spot asking for that color change. It's super fast to key the color into another one, but I agree it's a dumb change. Better to have infographics or typography hammer home the point. Someone wanted to make something they thought was cool or cute and told like 2 or 3 other people down the line, just do it if they got pushback. Some days, I just think of reworks at 20 minutes to air. Make the green a blue. Why? Okay, now make the blue a green. Okay. So, yeah, really odd. I did not know changing the color of objects on the news was something they would ever bother with. And also, why didn't they switch the color of the book to green for the entire clip? Why does it go from red to green later on? I don't know. Weird. What would you do if you saw the sky glitch? You make a video about it, of course. TikToker Danny Amos Jr. happened to catch something very weird on camera. He'd been out turkey hunting when he decided to get a nice shot of the sky. The sun was rising. It looked really pretty. As he was panning across the sky, though, something weird happened. Take a look at this. Did you see that weird flash in that one patch of the sky? Pretty bizarre. Now, it'd be easy to chalk this up to a glitch in the camera itself, but take a listen to what he says here.
I wasn't looking through the phone. Like, I was scanning the field, but I was like looking at the field, and I seen the sky do it.
Some people find cats really creepy, and if you're one of those people, this video won't make that aspect of your life any easier for you. I don't know much about this video other than it was filmed somewhere in China. It's pretty amazing. I mean, how eerily still this cat is. This is a pretty long clip, and it does not move. Its tail looks like it flutters in the wind a bit, maybe. People passing by also thought this was strange. They all stopped to stare and pull out their phones to document it. At first, I thought someone placed their taxidermied house cat on the street as a joke. I mean, why else would you stuff your dead pet? But then another cat sidles up and freezes as well. What the hell? Is there some kind of an animal maybe that they're trying to ambush? Cats will go still when they're hunting something, but for this long? And apparently some folks who were there said there were no objects on this section of the street that would have attracted the attention of the animals. So, I don't know. Glitch in the Matrix, or is this just a case of cats being cats, i.e. being weird? Notice anything strange about this image? This photo was shared on Reddit by Veruca Moon. You'll notice that one of the cars ahead has a license plate that says Peekaboo. Pretty cute. Until your eyes catch a car right next to it that says, I see you. Just a quirky coincidence, or is this the universe's subtle way of saying someone's always watching you? That's a creepy thought. If you're thinking the two cars might have been driving together as a joke, well, no. Veruca Moon said that they split off in different directions at the next intersection. Disneyland, the most magical place on earth, they say. I've never been, but I think I might need to check it out now, because apparently if you're lucky enough, at just the right moment, you may have a big bearded man in a red shirt teleport out of nowhere right in front of you. Take a look for yourself. Wow. It's breathtaking. I can almost feel the spirit of my long-buried childhood dreams rising up through my ever-decaying body as we speak. You know what? Maybe, just maybe, magic really does exist. Who is the bearded, red-shirt man? Is he from some other place in time? The ghost of a long-forgotten, starry-eyed park guest? A father forever doomed to stroll the park in search of a family that has long since moved on after his untimely passing? Or is he just a man like you and me? If you are a man, that is. A person, how about? Is he just a person like you and me who done got glitched? We may never know, and that's the real magic, my friends. In the early 2000s, we have The Lord of the Rings, but in 2025, TikTok proudly presents yet another epic saga involving finger jewelry. Ladies and gentlemen, buys and tries, this is the beloved classic tale finally brought to the computer screen, The Glitch of the Rings. So this lady was about to head out to the house for a dental appointment. She takes off her rings and goes to put them in her jewelry box. The last thing you ever want to do is show up at the dentist with a ring on your finger. Well, when she opens her jewelry box, she notices that there is suddenly a third copy of one of her rings. Where, oh where, did that third copy of the ring come from? Did two realities cross over, causing a glitch? Is there a parallel universe running right next to this one where this same lady is making a TikTok video being like, one of my rings is missing? Probably, yes. I can't think of another explanation, so that means there isn't one. So this happened during a live TV interview at a Copenhagen airport. A guy is being interviewed for a Danish sports center, and in the background, there's a lot going on. Like most airports, there are people grabbing their bags, chatting, usual airport stuff. But keep your eye on the woman with the blonde hair. Now, at one point, right in front of her, you see a woman with a luggage cart. The woman with the luggage passes by the blonde woman just for a brief, very brief moment, and then this happens. The woman just vanishes. Where'd she go? She's there 1 second, and then she's gone right in the middle of the shot. There's no obvious edit. It's not a camera cut. Naturally, people online started losing their minds, trying to figure out how that even happened. It's probably just a weird perspective thing, but still, it's a very bizarre watch. I just hope that woman isn't somewhere in the Twilight Zone or something. Now, what exactly happened here? This dude throws a flip-flop into the air, which just vanishes out of thin air on its way back down. Already insane, but then the guys are looking up at this small glowing light in the sky. Take a look at this. It's just hovering there in place right over their heads, and then it zips away. I don't know how to describe what I just watched. Addressing the flip-flop part first though, I read one commenter saying that it just fell onto or behind the roof in the background, which no. Watch it again. That is not what that looks like at all. The flip-flop is thrown directly overhead and the roof is behind them. Plus, it vanishes while still in the air. It doesn't look like something falling behind another object. Some people are saying the weird orb thing is a bird. If so, why is it just hovering in place like that? Also, it doesn't look or move like a bird at all. At least not a bird I've ever seen. Small drone, maybe, but a bird? I don't think so. Ah, the internet. If it didn't exist, we'd never get to witness inexplicable stuff like this unless it showed up on America's Funniest Home Videos or something. Alright, so this video comes from a TikToker named Anelli_RG. Her actual name is Mariana. She took the footage at her church in Mexico. According to her, she always felt a strange, unsettling vibe whenever she was there. Nothing specific she could point to, just a general sense that something wasn't right. So one day she decided to record during Mass to see if she could capture anything unusual on camera, and she did. When she reviewed the footage, she noticed someone or something that she doesn't remember seeing in person at all. It stands out immediately. In her description, she said it wasn't a human, and honestly, it's hard to disagree. The figure looks pale with dark, almost hollow eyes, almost like some lifeless mask. It's not just a case of bad camera quality either. Everyone else in the shot looks completely normal. So what's going on with this ghoulish looking figure? What would you do if you were working overnight security and saw this person show up on your surveillance camera? I say person, but I mean, look at her, it looks more like a zombie to me. So, at a school in Mexico, this security guard was on an overnight shift when he looked at the surveillance camera by the entrance of the building and saw this unsettling looking person staring up at the camera trying to get inside. The glowing eyes, the unusually long looking arms, this is not what I would want to see trying to break into my workplace in the middle of the night. Again, I'd think a zombie invasion was breaking out. This image was posted to Reddit by Dystopia321, who wrote, "This is a camera set up in the woods, set up to take photos when it senses movement. Main purpose is to take photos of deer and other wildlife. There were no people that could be in the woods at the time, and it had to have been moving to set off the camera. What is this?" Well, I can't say exactly what it is, but I can say it doesn't look good. A rake, a skinwalker, wendigo, golem. All possible identities mentioned in the comments, and I don't know, those seem like good guesses to me. What a horrifying looking creature. Could it be some extra tall, thin, pale person skulking through the forest alone in the middle of the night? Sure, but that's not really a comforting thought either, is it? What do you all think of this one? This one legitimately gave me chills, because it took me a few seconds staring at the image before I saw it, but when I did, yeah, just no thank you. Reddit user OrangeFood87 shared the picture saying that back in 2012, their roommate received the image from her boyfriend. He was working at a body shop after hours and snapped a photo of this totaled car that had just been brought into the shop. He was alone at the time and didn't see the eerie figure until he looked back at the photo. Apparently, he closed up early that night, and I can't say I blame him. This picture was taken at the South Pittsburgh Hospital by Reddit user Just Okay at Life, who wrote, "Taken in the second-story shadow hall where they report a 7-foot-tall shadow figure. This was taken at the end of the night. There was one other guy with me, and he was in front of me to the left. He had the flashlight, so there's no way this shadow was either of ours. If you have a chance and you happen to be in Tennessee, I highly recommend visiting this place. Earlier in the night, I was walking down a dark hallway alone on the first floor, and from the left side of me, there was a doorway where I heard a hissing sound shoot out of one of the rooms, moving towards me. It was an incredible experience. Incredible experience, that's one way of putting it. Our final clip today comes from Saudi Arabia. YouTuber Adventures Jassim79 was doing what he does best, exploring a creepy abandoned place. This time he was walking through an old rundown house, and when he got to the roof, he caught something incredibly chilling on camera. As he passes by a clothesline, through a small opening between sheets, this ghoulish face with pure black eyes appears. Just as fast as it shows up though, it thankfully vanishes. Yeah, I'd be praying too if I saw that face poking out at me. Seeing as this is in Saudi Arabia, many viewers have commented that this could be more than just a ghost, but a jinn. Spirit-like beings from Muslim tradition that can be invisible, shapeshift, and sometimes exhibit a more classical kind of demonic behavior, tormenting people or in some cases, even possessing them. Genuine or not though, it's a pretty creepy video. And here what happened in Texas when a man in a devil mask showed up on a family's doorstep. These are terrifying real devil sightings caught on camera. Did someone capture a shadow person on camera lurking over their bed? This video comes from Carrie E on YouTube, who noticed something terrifying on her home smart camera. Clearly, there's this dark black shape standing in the corner of the room. And you know, at first I didn't really think much of this. I mean, it's not hard to put on some dark clothes and lurk in a corner, but then it moves, and that's when you notice just how unnatural this thing really is. It zips across the room so fast, and in such a smooth, unnatural motion. This is clearly not a person. On top of that, watch how blurry it becomes. It doesn't look like a solid mass anymore. If you've ever had sleep paralysis and felt like something was standing over you or sitting on your chest and restricting your breathing, well, this video probably ain't gonna help you sleep any better, so sorry about that. Did you ever have an imaginary friend growing up? Do you have pleasant memories of said imaginary friend? Well, this next story may make you look back on your childhood a little differently. This photo here was shared online years ago. It looks pretty innocuous, 2 kids playing, but the thing is, there was only one youngster present at the time. At least that's what the parents thought. They were watching their son playing in the living room, saying he was talking with his imaginary friend Pauline. Dad snapped a picture, and when they looked back at it, they nearly screamed. Something else was clearly in the room, at least the camera picked something up. And the closer you look at this mysterious figure, the creepier it becomes. The eyes, the smile. Not only does it look unnatural, it has this air of aggression about it. Pretty creepy photo. So this happened back in January in Texas, just outside of Dallas. 2 homeowners were left terrified after someone showed up at their house wearing a red satanic mask and holding a cardboard sign that said Revelation 21:15. If you know that Bible passage, it's all about the apocalypse, judgment day, that kind of thing. So the devil mask is bad enough, but it's really not the message you want showing up right on your front porch. The whole thing was caught on their doorbell camera. It happened around 8 p.m. on a Saturday. You could see the person dressed in all black standing there a few feet from the door, completely still. They ring the doorbell, wait a few seconds, then knock, and when no one answers, they just walk around the side of the house and stand there in the driveway, still holding the sign. The homeowners were not home at the time. They'd gone out to dinner, but they saw the footage later and they freaked out. "I'm scared," the homeowner told CBS. "I'm scared to leave the house. I'm scared to be at the house." She also said, "It's about the end times. It's about Judgment Day. I freaked out." Police looked into it and said the masked person hadn't been seen at any other homes in the area and technically didn't commit a crime. Still, they said they'd keep an eye on the neighborhood just in case. And a little message to viewers here. Probably not the best idea to knock on some random person's door wearing a devil mask in Texas. Yeah, I don't know about that. Anyway, just what kind of animal are we looking at here? According to the uploader, it wasn't an animal, at least not one he'd ever seen. Reddit user Corrine James posted the image along with a description reading, "EMT friend saw this 2 nights ago, turning his ambulance around at the end of a rural road. It was swaying and its eyes were glowing without the headlights. This was in central Kentucky." Now, interesting thing about Kentucky, it's the home of the Pope Lick monster, aka Goatman. So, a terrifying part man, part goat hybrid with glowing red eyes. I don't know, am I drawing the wrong connections here? I don't know, but what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. This piece of footage comes from a CCTV camera in Thailand. Security guards were stunned by this strange object floating through the air. Take a look at this. Now, a lot of people were quick to say this was just a drone, but others have different opinions, including the guards. At one point, the guy filming the footage captured on the CCTV says the word Penanggalan. Now, Penanggalan is this vampiric creature from Malaysian and Indonesian folklore. By day, she looks like a normal woman, but at night, her head detaches from her body and floats around with her guts still dangling underneath. She flies through the air looking for victims, usually pregnant women, and feeds on them using her long tongue and organs. To keep her body safe while she's out hunting, she hides it somewhere and soaks it in vinegar so that her guts don't swell up. People would hang thorns or broken glass around their homes to snag her when she tried to come in, and if you ever found her empty body while she was out, you could kill her by burning it or stuffing it with sharp objects so she couldn't return to it before sunrise. So yeah, pretty gruesome creature. Luckily though, no reports of people being mauled by a flying head at the time this security footage was taken. This video comes from Reddit user illdisciplined3142, whose motion capture camera caught something really strange in their neighbor's backyard. Take a look at this. So it's not on screen very long, but the figure does appear to have a bit of an odd shape. The Redditor wrote in the description, "The camera was placed towards the back end of the property. Directly in front of the camera is a massive 10,000 plus acre forest, meaning this creature would be walking towards the street from the forest at 2:39 a.m. with zero lights guiding it. The camera began to also pick up strange sounds after it was seen and continued to do so for about 30 seconds before ending. At this point of view, this creature would have to be 9+ feet tall, as the camera is placed about 10 feet up. This is entirely unedited footage. I have absolutely no idea what this could be, and the movement is strangely slow. Rewatching this footage brings me goosebumps of which I never felt before, since this was really close to my house as well. This is also an area that rarely has hunters, as it is a very protected forest. If anyone can attempt to identify what this truly is, it would save me a lot of thoughts. This is a pretty odd video. It comes from Reddit user SoggyGate9281, who asked, "What does everyone think this is? The alarms are being set off because it's picked up motion detection." And I really don't know what to make of it. Seems to me it's just this glowing stick moving across the screen. Then it moves out of frame, but keep your eyes on the walkway at the bottom of the screen. A shadow moves across the frame. So someone or something was definitely outside, but who or what and why? This clip comes from Reddit user 87 Lucas Oliveira, who wrote in the heading, "A video captured by a security camera recorded a humanoid-looking shadow / transparent apparition at the back of the property, moving from left to right, leaving the dogs of the residents very agitated. The recording took place on a farm in El Salvador on February 6, 2025. So let's take a look at this. Now, it's hard to make out because the figure seems to be semi-translucent, but there's definitely something there. Notice how fast the thing moves too. It doesn't look like someone walking, it looks like something gliding, although, as the Redditor says, it does have a humanoid shape to it. And I love that there are dogs freaking out in this video. It just means it's not a case of a technical issue with the camera. I think this is a pretty strange video, but what do you all think? This Reddit user's grandparents captured something disturbing on their home security camera. Draw Representative 12 shared these images just the other day, along with a brief description. He said that a year or two ago, he was at Thanksgiving dinner, and his grandfather showed him these images on his living room camera. His grandparents don't live with anyone else. There's no little girl in the home, at least not that they know of. So who's walking through the living room here? And just what in the hell is this nightmare fuel standing in the doorway? Draw Representative 12 also said that his grandparents aren't tech savvy enough to hoax something like this. Seems to me there could be someone secretly squatting in the home. Either that or something else was captured on camera here. I'm really not sure which is worse. So this is pretty nuts. Watch the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. So a woman in Compton named Jessica Ortiz caught whatever this was on her doorbell camera. It was around 1 a.m. on June 5th when her Ring cam picked up something weird darting across her porch. It's only in frame for a second or two, but it really does look like a little alien dude. I was like, I'm going crazy. I'm literally going crazy. I'm losing my mind, Jessica said after watching it. She grabbed her son and had him check the footage as well, just to make sure she wasn't imagining things. Going on to say, he sat up on his bed and he played it like 3 times. When he was done on the 3rd one, he was like, "Mom, it's an alien, call the police." I was like, I'm not calling the police on an alien, it'd sound crazy, end quote. She called her neighbor though behind the house to ask if anyone had been outside, and no. To make things creepier, Ortiz said that there were loud banging sounds right after the thing ran by. Watch what was captured floating through this person's backyard. Now it definitely looks like smoke at first, but as it moves through the hammock, well, first of all, it completely flips it around, and as it floats across the screen, the vague, formless shape starts to form into what looks like a ghostly entity with its arms stretched out. And it doesn't fade away like smoke would, it comes back, moving in the opposite direction. Watch the top of the screen. So that is pretty weird. This is either some clever VFX work or something that can't be as easily explained. What do you all think? Share your thoughts down below. Next up, we have a new piece of Bigfoot footage for you. On May 24th, a crew from Colorado River Expedition had pulled over on the upper Colorado River for a lunch break when someone shouted, "Bear!" But they quickly realized this wasn't a bear. As lead guide Logan Kirk put it, someone yelled out that they saw a bear, so we started looking at it, and that's when we realized it was something else. It wasn't a bear. It was standing up there on the hillside. It was definitely bipedal, which really stood out to us, end quote. So, here we see this big hairy figure standing upright looking out through the trees. It stands between 2 pines and just stares at the camera, then disappears back into the woods. Now, bears do stand on their hind legs sometimes, but not like this. I'm not going to speak to the validity of this being a Sasquatch or not, but it isn't a bear. Hoax or not a hoax, that's another question, but Kirk isn't done with this yet, saying we're going to go up to see if we can find any evidence of what was going on up there, whether that's footprints or something else. And another recent story out of Colorado, 2 friends hiking in the Rockies may have accidentally snapped a photo of something. A 20-foot tall gray figure clinging to the side of a mountain. Jesse Clausen and Camille Avarella were coming down Long's Peak last year on August 24th when they took a photo of the view, not realizing that there was something lurking in the background. I was shocked to the bone when we were looking at the picture, Clausen said. At the time, they didn't see anything unusual. We didn't take the picture because we saw that thing. We just took it because the mountain range was pretty, she continued. The hike started at 2 a.m. and the photo was taken around 9 a.m., right after they'd reached the summit. We were in full adrenaline mode, so we weren't really paying attention, Clausen explained. Well, weeks later, while showing the photos to family on a big TV screen, Camille's dad spotted something odd. "What the hell? That thing is at least 20 foot or so," he said. And Camille was like, "Should we call the Rangers?" "It could be a rock," Avarella admitted, "but it has all the features of something that is human," Clausen added. But what do you all think? Share your thoughts in the comments. This image was captured by a Reddit user's security camera. WeirdSet2248 writes, "This is a Tapo camera out the back. The edge of it catches the neighbor's garden. I have chickens out back, which is a new addition. My mom wanted to see a pic of them to see if I could keep an eye on them over the camera, and she replied saying, 'What's up with your neighbor's face?' WTF is going on with his face, Skinwalker?" And yeah, there's clearly something off here. The mouth, especially. When I first looked at this post, the face reminded me of something. I just couldn't put my finger on it. But thankfully, a commenter beat me to it, saying it looks like the guy is wearing a Winnie the Pooh mask. Kinda looks like that live-action horror version of Winnie that came out a couple years ago.
First up on our list today, we have the mystery of the Siberian dancing lady. Video footage of the woman first began circulating online in 2019, showing an elderly woman dancing in the streets of Siberia, dressed in traditional Siberian garb. The user who posted it said that they were confused about her behavior, but eventually a stream of comments flooded in, labeling the woman as the Siberian dancing lady and saying that if you were to look the woman in the eyes without first receiving permission, she would chase you down with a large blade in an attempt to end your life. There is a Siberian legend that tells the story of a woman who fell in love with a man from a different village. However, unfortunately, her family disapproved of the union and she was left heartbroken. It is said that when she died, her spirit could be seen roaming along the countryside, dancing and singing mournfully in the night. Those who were unlucky enough to gaze upon her shadow would be met with misfortune and death. In 2023, more video footage of a strange woman dancing in the Siberian streets was posted online. In one, the woman notices that there is someone filming her and begins charging towards them holding a large blade. Many people also claim to have seen the woman and have theorized that she is either mentally unwell or possessed by the devil. Police have also begun to take these sightings very seriously, and incidents have even been reported on the local news stations, who have warned citizens to seek shelter after dark to avoid a run-in with the unidentified woman. Next, we have footage taken from a passenger aboard an American Airlines flight headed to Orlando from Fort Worth. The woman in the video, later identified as Tiffany Gomez, a former Microsoft employee, can be seen having what can only be described as a breakdown. She shouted at other passengers, claiming that a man near the back of the plane was not real and that the plane would not be making it to its final destination. She was removed from the aircraft and was later captured on police body camera footage inside the terminal of the airport, claiming that the man had told her he had an explosive device. She pleaded with the desk agent and police, begging them not to let the plane leave, saying that once it became airborne, it would blow up. Tiffany later posted an apology video online saying that she was sorry for causing a scene as well as for using profanity aboard the aircraft, but provided no explanation for her actions or the claims that she made in the video. While the plane was okay, many people who watched the apology video have claimed that the woman apologizing and the woman on the plane were two entirely different people, saying that they look nothing alike. Next up, we have 3 incredibly strange videos captured on home security cameras that might just give you nightmares. These videos were shared to social media platform TikTok by Mandy, a mother of 2 who became incredibly disturbed after her Ring camera alerted her to movement taking place outside of her home. In the video, you can clearly see the shadow of a person standing to the right side of the camera, but what's really creepy here is the audio. In an almost witch-like voice, the figure says, "Let me in," before it begins scratching on the door and trying to open it. After the incident, Mandy began to monitor her cameras much more closely, and to her dismay, a few nights later she saw a figure in a black hood lingering outside her shed. And a few days after that, the same figure was seen lurking around the premises of her home and standing directly under the room in which Mandy, at the time, would have been consoling her sick child. The family has contacted authorities, but there's been no update since. However, I do have goosebumps all over my body right now. Next up, we have the Erickson twins captured on police body cam footage after the officers had been called to the scene to investigate the woman's strange behavior. The Swedish sisters Ursula and Sabina had been seen acting up after exiting a public bus. They tried to board another but were denied entry. The pair made their way over to the highway and they were seen dashing in and out of traffic. When police arrived on the scene and attempted to apprehend the woman, they once again ran into the road until they were both struck down by oncoming vehicles. Ursula suffered severe injuries and Sabina was briefly unconscious but awoke soon after, attacked the officers and refused medical help, which ultimately led to her arrest. Sabina was eventually released, but her freedom didn't last long. Shortly after leaving police custody, she ended the life of Glenn Hollingshed with a large blade after the stranger had agreed to take her into his home so that she could use his phone to contact Ursula. No one knows why either of the women did what they did. There was no evidence of drugs or alcohol involved at either incident, but some have speculated that the twins might have suffered from something called shared psychosis, a rare disorder in which a delusion is shared by two or more people in a close relationship. But what do you guys think? For this next one, we're keeping things somewhat light with a video of an unknown man showing off his leg strength in the province of Shaanxi, China. In security footage captured by the city of Linfen, the man can be seen delivering a powerful kick to one of the concrete columns lining the bridge that he had been walking on. The column, attached to all of the others by a metal chain, falls into the water and then begins dragging the rest down with it. The man who delivered the blow stands back and watches before fleeing the scene. It's unknown why the man decided to kick the column down in the first place, whether or not he knew what would happen or whether or not he was arrested. However, I think we can all agree while vandalism is bad, the domino effect of the columns was pretty satisfying to watch. Next up, we have Peter Bergman, also known as the man who didn't exist. In 2009, the man, presumed to have been in his 50s or 60s, checked into a hotel in Austria under the name Peter Bergman. While at the hotel, he disposed of all his belongings in a purple plastic bag while avoiding security cameras and then went on to purchase 8 stamps from the local post office. Peter went back to the hotel where he was captured on CCTV and grabbed a taxi. The driver dropped him off at Ross Point Beach, and that was the last time the man was ever seen. His body was discovered along the shore the following day around 8 a.m. An investigation began, which led law enforcement to the discovery that Peter Bergman didn't exist. The man had used a fake name and a fake address when checking into the hotel. Not only that, but all of the labels on the man's clothes had been carefully removed so that it would be unclear where he had purchased them from, and his movements prior to the day of his disappearance could not be tracked. While police were able to determine that the man had died of cardiac arrest, they were never able to determine who he was and why he had worked so hard to keep his identity a secret. Next up, we have CCTV footage taken from a home security camera that captured the last known moments of Stephen Kocher before his disappearance without a trace on December 14th of 2009. Stephen had called his friends just 2 days earlier to inform them that he had left his home in Utah to visit Las Vegas, Nevada. However, based on the CCTV footage, his last known whereabouts was Henderson, which is about a 30-minute drive from the Las Vegas Strip without traffic. In the surveillance video, he can be seen parking his car filled with wrapped gifts for his family members on the street of a wealthy neighborhood. After he parked, he got out of his vehicle, crossed the street, and made his way down the road. He was never seen again. No one is sure why he would have parked his car in the neighborhood or what might have happened to him after he did. His cell phone signal was picked up at various locations several miles away from where he left his car, but after 2 days, the signal died and the trail was lost. And finally, to finish off our list today, we have the mysterious disappearance of Dale Kerstetter, who was last seen in a surveillance video taken from inside of the Glassworks plant where Dale once worked as a security guard. On September 12th of 1987, Dale had been working the evening shift at the plant when all of a sudden an unknown masked man entered the building. Dale was last seen leading the man through the building while staring directly at the plant's security cameras, possibly in duress, before disappearing out of frame, never to be seen again. However, the masked intruder who made off with $250,000 worth of platinum pipe is seen again, wheeling a large bag out of the plant. While some believe that Dale, who had been in debt at the time, was working with the masked man, his family members maintain that he was an innocent bystander in the incident, and that it's likely the bag they saw leaving the plant in the wheelbarrow had contained Dale's body. To this day, no trace of Dale or the stolen merchandise have ever been found, and the case remains a mystery.
Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have the Idaho footage. This creepy video was posted to Reddit by the user No Recognition 1998, where they wrote that it comes from a trail cam in Idaho that was 20 miles out into the woods. Where the video was taken, they said, is literally in the middle of nowhere, and there would be no reason for someone to be this far out into the isolated woods, especially at this time of night. So that leads me to what the video catches. At 4:37 a.m., what is this that appears on the trail cam? Someone or some kind of creature is caught walking past this trail cam. It definitely appears to be human-like, but there is also something extremely off-putting about whatever this thing is, aside from the other bizarre details surrounding this encounter. What do you think this trail cam caught? In our number 9 spot today, we have the Mothman. This next creepy video was posted to TikTok, and it shows a possible encounter with the famous cryptid, the Mothman. If you're a fan of this channel, I'm sure you're familiar with the legend of the Mothman, but if not, it started all back on a dark November night in 1966. Two couples claimed that they saw a huge bird-like monster that had red, glowing eyes. They claimed they saw it while they were cruising down a back road near Point Pleasant, which sits in rural West Virginia. They explained that whatever this creature was, it rose into the air, unfolded these huge bat-like wings, and chased them as they sped away as fast as they could, completely frightened by what they had just seen. From here, stories of the Mothman continued to spread, with more sightings coming in the following weeks, and since then, the Mothman has been an enduring mystery, with some swearing that he exists, and still, to this day, there are reported sightings. Now back to the video. The video shows people recording as they are on a dark trail when they stumble upon a weird scene. It appears as though there is some kind of a creature, maybe eating a human? They begin to get closer to whatever is going on, and you can hear the disbelief in their voice over what they are seeing. Suddenly, it appears as though the creature knows it's being watched, and it starts kind of moving closer to the people recording, and at the end of the day, it doesn't appear as though this Mothman is too fazed by the onlookers, and it just continues to do whatever it was doing with the man in the road. In our number 8 spot today, we have the weird creature. Do you believe in aliens? Or things we can't necessarily prove are real? This next video might just make you a believer. This video was taken in the Acadian woods here in Canada, and it captures a creature that honestly defies explanation. The creature appears to be sitting on some kind of stone structure as those who found it begin recording it. The creature doesn't appear frightened or threatening, but it is totally unlike anything I've ever seen before. It definitely gives off a strange alien feeling, especially with its elongated head seen in the video, but the creature also has a sort of bug-like appearance as well, like it's some kind of grasshopper or something similar. The creature seems to be pretty calm, but it does start to make some inhuman noises. At the end of the day, it is still totally unknown what this creature is, or could be, so if you have an idea, let us know. In our number 7 spot today, we have the abandoned house. This video starts off with people looking through an abandoned house, but they get quite a surprise. The 2-minute long video is mostly just the people walking through the house, searching around for whatever they can find. I mean, the vibes are very creepy. It's an abandoned house and it's dark outside. Around the 50-second mark, however, they find what looks like a newspaper and they begin talking to each other. I have no idea what they are saying because it's not in English, but I'm going to assume they are talking about the paper because they zoom in on it. They begin to continue through the house when the person holding the camera finally sees it. Over in the corner is a little girl. Whether this is a real little girl or some kind of ghost or demon is tough to say, but to be honest, none of these are really great options. The clip shows his initial reaction, but it's kind of tough to see the little girl, so the video then slows it down and brightens it up a bit so we can get a good look at what the video captured. In our number 6 spot today, we have the mermaid. Could mermaids really be real, and maybe just not the beautiful sirens we tend to think of them as? Well, this guy may have just found some proof. This video comes from a man who is walking along the beach when he finds something unusual. When he posted it to TikTok, he claimed that he believes he found the remains of a mermaid, and honestly, once I watched the video, I could definitely understand why he would say this. At first, when he goes to pick this item up, it appears like maybe it's just some branches tangled together, but soon we see that there is so much more going on here. The object he is holding resembles the skeleton of a small mermaid-like creature, complete with the infamous tail. You can see a rib cage, skinny little arms, a head. I don't know, this thing is weird, and honestly, it's really unsettling. Possibly the most unsettling part of this video, however, is when the man just drops the skeleton back into the water like it wasn't the possible remains of a once living creature. Just no respect for the mermaids, I guess. In our number 5 spot today, we have the fallen angel. This video follows two men entering some kind of a forest when they start to come across these really large feathers. They continue on their journey into the woods and follow wherever the feathers are leading them. Eventually, they come across some sort of creature that looks like a man with a wound in his back, but it is definitely pretty difficult to see. Now comes the most cursed part. This man creature thing then turns his head and his eyes are illuminated by the light from the camera. This creature is meant to be a fallen angel. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, this video isn't actually real footage and was made by some Spanish horror film fans, but it is still very cursed and very creepy. If I didn't know that this video was fake, I honestly maybe would have believed it, okay? In our number 4 spot today, we have Bigfoot. No trail cam video is complete without an alleged Bigfoot sighting. This video comes from a hunter and it has a super creepy backstory, not your typical Bigfoot kind of video. The hunter explained that he had found human remains in this makeshift kind of shelter out in the woods, and because of this extremely creepy encounter, he decided to set up a secret trail camera that points at this creepy shelter to see what he would be able to find out. Around sunset the next day, the trail camera captures this. You can see a strange figure come out from the woods and rustle around near this makeshift shelter. The creature is covered in thick fur, and this, coupled with its slightly human-like behavior, has made many speculate that this is indeed a sighting of the legendary Bigfoot. After the creature stands around for a bit, it soon heads back into the forest, but not before picking up a giant log and throwing it at the camera, knocking it over. Perhaps the trail camera wasn't quite as inconspicuous as the hunter might have thought. In our number 3 spot today, we have the Brontosaurus. Dinosaurs are extinct, right? Well, this trail camera video was posted to TikTok, and honestly it left me a little speechless. The date and timestamp on this video show that it was taken around 1:56 a.m. on March 15th of this year. It starts off with just the typical trail cam setup, but you can hear something as it walks into frame. Suddenly, we see a creature with a long neck begin to enter. Its lumbering steps can be heard as it continues on, and once it's fully in frame, it is clear as day that this is a dinosaur. Likely some kind of brontosaur. Nothing super scary happens as this dino walks through the frame, but it is so surreal to see a prehistoric creature mixed in with our more modern times. I know that this video is likely just some good CGI, but what if it wasn't? In our number 2 spot today, we have the levitation. This video starts off with a man and his dog walking through some kind of forest in the snow. They're playing fetch, and the man throws the ball, and the dog chases after it, but when the owner calls the dog back, the dog has clearly seen something else, and he begins running off. This is all fine and well, nothing wrong with a little fetch, but when the man follows the dog to see where he's going, they come across something super strange. It is literally a girl levitating in the air. She's with another person, and it's kind of unclear if he is the one who is levitating her or if she's doing it herself, but either way, when they realize that someone is watching them, she quickly returns to the ground and they both run off, extremely guilty. I know the clip is really grainy and hard to see, but there is definitely something super weird going on here. Witchcraft, aliens, I don't know. And finally, in our number 1 spot today, we have the creature. This trail camera caught some sort of humanoid creature as it walks across the trail. This animal or creature or whatever it is, definitely appears slightly human, but it doesn't walk like a human, or really like an animal either for that matter. This thing slowly moves on all fours as it lumbers through this forest kind of area. It's got long, awkward limbs, and it doesn't really appear like anything that is known to science, which is why people speculate that this thing is either a demon or some currently undiscovered cryptid. Whatever it is, it's safe to say that I don't want to encounter it. Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have the forest encounter. Being in the woods at night is never not scary. Even if you're an experienced outdoors person, there is just something unsettling about the secrets the woods like to hold. This video is absolutely no exception to that. This video was taken back in 2006 in the Catalonian forest, where two men and their families were on a camping trip. I'm not entirely sure what led up to the men taking this video or why they were walking around the forest at night, but regardless of how they got into this position, what happened next is something I'm sure they will never forget. As they walk deeper into this forest, something catches their attention. They see what looks like a mysterious creature on top of a tree branch. As they see the creature, they obviously stop walking and are filming it, scared for what it might be. The forest is of course full of dangerous animals, so it's always good to proceed with caution, but I'm sure these men had no idea just how scary this creature was about to become. As the light from the recorder shines on the creature and the men try to get a closer look, the creature turns its face to look directly at them. The creature's eyes glow in the light with a human-looking head but an inhuman-feeling aura. The men quickly book it out of there, and I have to say, I would do exactly the same thing. After experiencing something like that, I don't think you could ever catch me in the woods again. In our number 9 spot today, we have the skinwalker in the woods. This creepy video was posted to TikTok by the user Adrian Montenegro02, and it was supposed to be just a casual video showing a camping trip with their family that they were taking near Monterrey in Mexico. It should just be a nice casual fun time, fun family trip, right? Wrong. Of course not. This video shows the family all hanging out together with one member being pushed on a swing by a couple other members. This is all fine and well, but it's what's in the background that really has viewers concerned and definitely had the family freaking out when they reviewed the footage. In the back, you see a creepy figure moving around. This figure is pale and human looking, and it just moves around quietly like it's trying not to be seen. Is it hiding from the family? Is it planning something sinister? After posting, many viewers began putting forth their theories. Some believe the figure seen in the back is a skinwalker, while others believe it is someone who lives in the woods waiting for their moment to strike. At the end of the day, whatever this thing is, it is sure unsettling, and all I can ask is, why is it watching this family's vacation? In our number 8 spot today, we have Bigfoot? Would this list truly be complete without the sighting of a supposed Bigfoot? This video comes from 2015 when a man named McCamey reported seeing a strange, unexplainable creature hiding in the woods. McCamey was kayaking in a swamp close to Tampa in Florida when he heard a noise, and then he began to see some strange movement. He started recording what he thought was likely a bear or a similar kind of animal, but as he got closer he realized that something more unusual was going on. The creature began to navigate through the alligator-infested water with ease, and it began using its arms to swing through the branches, which is something that isn't really commonly seen with bears, as far as I know. Some people believe this video is a hoax, while others believe this is full-blown proof that Bigfoot is alive and well and living in Florida. What do you think? In our number 7 spot today, we have a cult meeting. This next video comes from a group of friends who were on a casual hike, enjoying themselves, getting some fresh air and exercise, but little did they know they were about to stumble upon something a lot more sinister than a typical day outdoors. As they are hiking on the trail and up a hill, they look back and see some kind of weird secret cult or secret society type meeting. These people begin walking, dressed in white robes, and while that obviously isn't any kind of a crime, it's bizarre, to say the least. The person who took the video also posted another video of this strange encounter because these people didn't just look creepy, they were also making creepy sounds. I can't tell if the sound is music, singing, chanting, screaming, I'm not entirely sure, but whatever it is, it was all creepy enough for these guys to stop their hike, record, and post it on the internet for all of us to watch and wonder, what exactly is going on here? In our number 6 spot today, we have the backyard horror. This video starts off with someone recording in their home. We quickly find out that the reason they started recording is because they noticed something strange in their backyard. Never a good way to start off a video. He apparently was hearing weird voices coming from outside of his house, and of course wanted to record as he investigated, and well, good thing he did. He turns the lights off inside so that he could see what was going on outside better, and well, absolute nightmare fuel ensues when he does this. As he turns the camera to the dark backyard, he suddenly sees a human-like creature come darting towards him. The figure appears to have come from a bush in the backyard, and who knows how long it had been there for. What is so creepy to me is that this creature clearly knew he was looking into the yard at this point, so I want to know how long it was there for, watching him through the windows. Also, what the hell is that thing? Let me know. In our number 5 spot today, we have the creepy figure. This video starts off with a group of men riding their motorcycles through the woods, which honestly already sounds challenging enough. The video seems to be progressing as one would expect until things take a turn for the worse. Quickly, the video descends into terror and madness as they realize that something or someone is chasing them. You can hear one of the men yelling and screaming for help as the other men in front of him begin to pull over and try and figure out what is happening. That would be absolutely jarring to be just on a fun day out with your friends when suddenly one of them starts screaming for help. Absolutely terrifying already, but I don't think any of the men were expecting to see what happens next. A creepy human-like creature can be seen chasing the men, and when one of them gets off the bike, it begins coming up to the bike and toward the group. The men are caught between being utterly terrified of this encounter while also trying to protect their bike from damage or being stolen. You can absolutely hear the panic in their voices as they try to figure out what exactly is going on. In our number 4 spot today, we have this weird creature. This video comes from Australia, which is of course the land of creepy creatures, and whatever is caught on this video is certainly no exception. The person who captured the video was driving through a deserted forest at night, which just already feels like you're asking for trouble. As they are driving through this creepy area and recording, something appears in front of the car. This creature, whatever it is, although it doesn't look like any animals that I know of, quickly disappears just as quickly as it did appear, moving in a strange and very fast way. Let's take another look at this thing, but slow down a bit. Honestly, I have no explanation for what this is or what it could be. Some believe it's a skinwalker, others believe it's a demon. Whatever you want to believe, let's just hope you never cross paths with it. In our number 3 spot today, we have the Appalachian Trail footage. This next creepy video comes from someone who was hiking by themselves along the Appalachian Trail. He was resting in his tent, again, all alone, when suddenly he began to hear a terrifying screeching sound. I guess when you're out in the wilderness all alone, you really have no choice but to investigate the creepy sound. Better to know where it's coming from than just wait and see and hope for the best. He gets out of his tent and begins recording the sound as he calls out for any response to what could be making this horrifying sound. You can hear the fear in his voice as he tries to shine his light and see as far as he can in the pitch black wilderness. The noise sounds as though it's getting closer and closer, and you can faintly see shadows moving in between the trees as if something knows he is there and is coming to take a look. At one point, it even looks like you can maybe see the reflection of eyes off in the distance. It isn't quite clear exactly what he encountered that day, but whatever it is, I wouldn't want to meet it face to face. In our number 2 spot today, we have the creepy man. This video was taken in a remote area in Montana, out in what appears to be some kind of forest area. Now, a lot of the videos on today's list feature unknown creatures and creepy looking things, but this video looks like it just captures a man. The man gives off a kind of weird vibe to begin with. I mean, he's just standing alone in the woods, which is kind of weird. But the people recording call out to him to see if he's okay, if he needs any help, just to double check, which, you know, that's very nice of them. Unfortunately, instead of just a regular casual encounter, this man suddenly turns into an absolute nightmare. The man begins to move towards the people recording, but not in a normal human way, in a creepy, crawling way that would make anyone feel absolutely disturbed. Was this just a creepy person trying to freak someone out, or was something a little bit more paranormal at play? And finally, in our number 1 spot today, we have the graveyard ghost. Okay, I'll be honest, this video doesn't take place on a trail or in the woods, but it does take place somewhere equally as creepy, and that is a graveyard. Perhaps one of the creepiest places on Earth. It isn't quite clear exactly where this graveyard is, but the person who took the video had initially gone there because they apparently had been hearing some strange noises coming from the cemetery for several days. I feel like if I had heard a strange noise coming from a cemetery, I'd probably call the police, or Ed and Lorraine Warren. The last thing I would ever do would be to take it upon myself to investigate. The curious video taker is clearly braver than I, because they went to explore and definitely found more than they had bargained for. I have absolutely no idea what this thing is, with its elongated limbs and creepy posture. I'm not sure how the person taking the video was able to stand there for so long, but I feel like fight or flight really took over in this case. Was this a ghost, a demon, a zombie? Honestly, at this point, the possibilities are endless.
Starting us off at number 10 is the Battery Man. Slavisa Pajkic, aka Biba Struja, aka Electric Biba, is a man who since the age of 17 has apparently had electricity coursing through his body at all times. He can literally fry a hot dog with his bare hands. He claims he's an insulator, accumulator, conductor, and heater all in one. Using 2 metal pins, he can even make a light bulb light up, even though if any normal person touched 220 volts, they would die. Not him though, it's not even a thing for him. Just makes it look so easy. He even makes an electric circuit with him and a bunch of his students holding hands, and he helps people with their sinus and back problems, their migraines. Like, look at what his touch does to these people. Look at this clip right now.
Rada u grad I pomažem ljudima. Migrena, glavobolja, sinusi, problemi sa kičmom. Trudim se 50-50.
And if that didn't manage to convince you, he became a Guinness World Record holder back in 1981 when he touched a few thousand volts. He also heated water to 97 degrees Celsius in the record time of 1 minute and 37 seconds. And no one knows how he has this power, how the electricity entered him and never left, how he controls it, or how he hasn't died from it yet. We just have no idea. But I would love to be like a walking appliance. It would save me so much money on electricity.
In at number 9, the Paulding Light. A small light that appears in a valley outside of Paulding, Michigan. This has been a mystery that has been puzzling investigators since the 1960s.
It almost looks like a flame, man. How it flickers? Yeah, it looks like a flame out there.
Look, it's red on it.
It's coming real close.
Yep, you see it? It's going red now.
Some believe it's a ghost, while others claim it could be some sort of geological activity or even some natural gases. The light appears in the same spot almost every night, and of course there are tons of myths and legends surrounding the light. Some claim it's the light of a railroad brakeman who was killed while trying to stop an oncoming train from colliding with a car stuck on the tracks. Others claim it's a grandparent looking for a lost grandchild, using a lantern that needs constant relighting, which is why the light seems to come and go. In 2010, the Paulding Light was featured on the show Fact or Faked, Paranormal Files, who couldn't come up with a reasonable explanation for the random light.
At number 8, we have the disappearance of Frederick Valentich. On the 21st of October 1978, Australian pilot Frederick Valentich was doing a 125 nautical mile training flight. Now, the 20-year-old had no idea that that would be the last flight of his career. Known as a flying saucer enthusiast, Frederick radioed Melbourne air traffic control saying this.
Is there any known traffic below 5,000 feet?
No known traffic.
Seems to be a large aircraft below 5,000 feet.
Now, if you didn't understand what he said and it's unclear, he's asking if there's any known traffic below 5,000 feet. They respond saying no known traffic. He then claimed there was an unidentified aircraft that was following him at 4,500 feet, which clearly wasn't a plane. It was illuminated by 4 bright landing lights and seemed to be moving at quite a fast speed. He then reported that it seemed to be approaching him from the east and that maybe the pilot was pranking him. The craft started orbiting above him, and that's when Frederick started experiencing engine problems. Now have a listen to the last few things he said in his transmission before contact was lost.
It's not an aircraft, it's hovering, and it's not an aircraft.
Search parties were sent out and covered 1,000 square miles around the perimeter, yet he was never found. The last thing he says is it's not an airplane, and then contact just gets lost. Like, where did you go? Were you abducted by aliens?
At lucky number 7, Dale Kerstetter. This mystery is exactly that because no one knows the answers to anything, really. September 12th, 1987, Kerstetter started his weekend shift as a security guard at the Corning Glassworks plant in Bradford, Pennsylvania. When another security guard arrived the next morning to relieve Kerstetter of his shift, Dale was nowhere to be found. $250,000 of platinum pipe was also missing. However, Kerstetter's truck was still in the parking lot, and after the police were called to investigate, they were stumped. The keys to the truck were still in the ignition. Kerstetter, a heavy smoker, left behind a full carton of cigarettes. The only thing missing was his .22 caliber pistol. What's even more interesting is Dale's lunchbox was full, and upon reviewing security footage, about 10 minutes into Kerstetter's shift, a masked man is seen approaching the back of the plant. Kerstetter is seen walking up to him and then looked directly at the camera. The two men were never seen again. To this day, some believe Kerstetter was part of a heist, while others think he was coerced into the crime. He was looking at the camera as a signal of asking for help. Kerstetter had 6 kids and 2 grandchildren at the time of his disappearance. No one has seen or heard from him since that night, and many are still wondering what really happened to Dale Kerstetter.
Now at number 6 is the sand geysers. So everyone knows about water geysers. They're out here going to Iceland and chilling in those hot geyser baths and whatnot. Nothing new, I wish I could do that. But back in 2008, in the eastern city of Al Asa in Saudi Arabia, a sand geyser just appeared out of nowhere. The sand was coming out and reached 9 meters in vertical length, but no one was able to explain how the phenomenon was happening. Several Almaco geological teams went to the site to get to the bottom of it, but they simply couldn't. Some claim it could have been because of an earthquake tremor, since some sand volcanoes form during large earthquakes, but 11 years later they're still clueless about the real origins of the sand geyser.
Halfway through our list at number 5, the Cowboy Bandit. This one is insane because this guy somehow has been eluding the police for over 30 years. Started back in 1987 on September 19th, when a man entered a bank in Spokane, Washington and robbed them of $100,000. The man who robbed the bank was described as wearing glasses, a cowboy hat, and cowboy boots. When he pulled the gun on the teller asking to be taken to the vault, he also revealed a police scanner, making it clear he'll know if anyone calls for the police. After completing his first robbery, the Cowboy Bandit would go on to rob about a dozen banks total, even being captured on camera at some of them. Although it took a while to get the bandit on camera, while he was robbing a bank, one of the tellers set off a bill trap, which is located under some of the bills the tellers were handing over to the bandit during a robbery. This not only notified the police, but also activated the bank's cameras. Still, even though he was caught on camera, to this day, law enforcement have not been able to find the Cowboy Bandit.
At number 4 is the max headroom interruption. Now I feel like many people have seen this signal interruption that happened back in November of 1987 already, but we're going to show it again. The signal intrusion happened at about 9 PM during the sportscast news on WGN-TV and lasted about 28 seconds. The second intrusion happened during Doctor Who and that lasted about 90 seconds. It's been 30 years now and the hijackers behind the interruption are still unknown, and honestly the whole thing was just really creepy. The person in the video is wearing a max headroom mask and sunglasses with this buzzing sound in the background. In the first intrusion he's just swaying from side to side, bobbing his head up and down in front of this metallic striped background. In the second one, the person actually talks, saying he's a freaking nerd. He-heeing away, he starts humming and singing a song and seems like he's on some kind of high level of drugs. He goes on to say, "I just made a giant masterpiece for all the greatest world newspaper nerds," and I mean, he's not wrong. 30 years later, we're still talking about it, trying to figure out who it was.
In at number 3, Leah Rowland. At around 10:30 AM on March 20th, 1997, Leah Rowland was working as the manager of a gas station in Nebraska. The mother of 2 had just gotten promoted the day before and didn't think twice when a red Pontiac Grand Am pulled in to get some gas. The man in the red car walked into the gas station without shoes on and sweatpants rolled up to his knees. He waited for a mother and her daughter to leave the store and then approached the counter. Leah was instructed to hand over the money in the cash register, which she did, a total of $150. She was then told to lay on the ground. Complying with everything the robbers said, Leah wasn't expecting him to shoot her 3 times, twice in the arm and once in the head, killing her instantly. The suspect then took off with the money, some soda, a pack of cigarettes, a lighter, and the gas he filled his car up with. Although there was surveillance footage of the entire crime, to this day, Leah's killer has never been found.
Now at number 2 is the Hampton Court Palace ghost. Now this grand estate was the home of Henry VIII and all his 6 wives and all their kids. And I feel like I learned about this guy in history at primary school more than I learned about anyone. It was a tie between him and both world wars, so I mean that's saying something. So the staff at the palace had the alarm go off, which meant the fire doors were open, but when they rushed to check there was nothing there. But in the footage you can see the doors opening even though no one's physically opening them, and then a man appears out of nowhere in medieval clothing and leaves through the doors.
You don't see the doors actually being pushed open by hand. Figure strides forward and slams them shut. As you can see, and close-ups have shown that it appears to be dressed in medieval clothes, similar to what Henry VIII would have worn.
Now no one saw any person come in and out of the building, yet the footage shows otherwise, and it looks like a skinnier version of Henry VIII, to be honest. Like maybe the afterlife made him skinnier. A good diet plan though.
Taking the top spot on our list at number 1, Bigfoot. Now you most likely already know the story here, but for those that don't, well, it's quite an interesting one. Bob Gimlin and Roger Patterson filmed what some say is a real-life Bigfoot, and others claim to be a hoax way back in 1967. The story goes the two men were searching for Bigfoot. Patterson claimed to have seen large footsteps earlier in the week and convinced Gimlin to go on a journey with him. When the two returned to the area where Patterson had originally found the prints, they were washed away due to rain. Still, the two men trekked deep into the woods on horseback. Then out of nowhere, Patterson's horse started jumping around, and then they saw it. Bigfoot on the other side of a creek. Patterson reached for his camera and started to record, but as he got closer, he tripped on some sticks. The noise got the attention of Bigfoot, who made eye contact with the men, and then kept walking deeper into the woods, as you could see on the footage.
When I first saw her, she was standing upright. I thought, you know, this is unreal.
To this day, there's still a debate about whether or not the footage is real, and Gimlin doesn't seem to care to make people believe him. He knows what he saw on that day.
Well, this is a pretty busy supermarket. Not sure what it's like during opening hours, but in the middle of the night, when no one's supposed to be in the store knocking things off shelves, there seems to be something in the store knocking things off shelves. And even before that happens, there's some odd stuff going on. There seems to be some sort of invisible force messing with the computer and POS. And then we see this very ominous black shape floating down an aisle. We see all kinds of stuff in this video. Fruits rolling along the floor, a mop bucket shift out of position, and this door to the walk-in freezer starts to violently shake. So this footage was captured at a store in Whaley Bridge, England. Weird stuff is known to happen there a lot, and it's freaked out the staff so much that when Halloween night rolled around, they decided to shut the place down early. They locked up around 9:30, an hour and a half earlier than normal, after a bunch of spooky things started going down. Basically, everything you've just seen had all been going on that day. Rumor is the place has been haunted for over 100 years. This next piece of security footage was captured at a social security building in 2020. It was uploaded to YouTube by Joshua Bragg, who's responsible for checking the motion cameras. But here we can clearly see this mysterious dark shape floating around a room. He insisted that whatever this thing is, it's not a bug, and that he's always had weird vibes about the building. Haunted kind of vibes. And in terms of the cameras, well, they were brand new, high grade, and the lenses were sealed, so the idea of a bug or something being trapped in one of them was again not a valid explanation according to the uploader, who also said he went and checked the camera for anything like that anyway. So I don't know what was captured on this motion detector camera. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments. This is a pretty famous image. I bet a lot of you have seen this still if you've ever typed in real ghost photos to Google Images. But do you know the story behind it? Well, back in the winter of 2003, something strange happened 3 days in a row at Hampton Court Palace in southwest London. Security kept getting called to deal with the same fire door that just wouldn't stay shut. Well, one day, the CCTV cameras caught the doors suddenly swinging wide open, like someone had slammed them, but there was nobody around to explain it. On day 2, it happened again, but this time the cameras picked up something else. A creepy figure in old-fashioned clothes flings the doors open before quickly slamming them shut again. Well then, day 3 rolls around. The doors fly open again, but the mystery figure doesn't make another appearance. Now, a visitor actually wrote in the palace's guest book that she thought she saw some sort of ghostly figure in the exact area on the same day that the cameras caught it. This grainy footage of the strange figure made headlines all over the world. News stations and papers from everywhere from Australia and India, well, they started talking about this thing, and of course the footage began circulating online, becoming one of the first creepy ghost videos in the early days of the internet. This video was posted to YouTube by House Junkie Podcast, who wrote in the description, "I got an alert on my phone from my Canary security webcam stating motion detected in living room. When I hit play, this is what I saw." So here we see these two very distinct semi-translucent shapes floating across the screen. Your first thought may be, well, it's just smoke, but I don't know. It doesn't really move like smoke. The shapes don't linger at all. They just float past and disappear. Also, I gotta say, they have pretty classical ghost-type shapes to them. So I have no context for this next clip. I just think it's cursed. So what the hell is this? One of those Fresno nightcrawler things with the two legs and no head? Or is it just a pair of pants walking around at night on their own? Again, I don't know where this is filmed. I don't know who the original uploader is. It's just one of those clips you come across online that may have well just sprung up out of thin air, as far as you can tell. Adds to the creep factor, in my opinion, though. But if anyone knows where this clip comes from, let us know down in the comments. This clip was recorded by a security manager who was on duty at the Wingate Hotel in Illinois on September 14th of 2003. That night, guests had started calling the front desk to complain about loud screaming coming from room 209. According to the security guy, this wasn't the first time that room had caused problems. Over the years, there had been several reports of weird noises coming from it, so as the security guy, John, approaches the door, screams can clearly be heard. Take a listen. So he stands outside the door, totally dumbfounded, because as his boss tells him over the walkie, there's nobody checked into that room. Figuring there could be something pretty serious going on in the room, John is instructed to wait for the police, but he takes a look inside the room anyway. He cautiously enters, and what does he find? Well, the room was empty and completely silent, except for the fact that all the furniture had been turned upside down, the carpet was ripped up, and the shower was running. But there was something else that actually picked up on camera. Just after John had entered the room, this happens. So this is a weird one. This footage comes out of a park in Costa Rica. We see some sort of creepy looking four-legged creature crawling around while two dogs bark at it. It's not exactly clear what this thing is, and people in the comments have been tossing around all kinds of theories. Some said it looks like a shapeshifter. Another said, my first guess, a troll. My second guess has to be El Chupacabras. Someone else said it looked like something that crawled out of hell. It's hard to describe this thing. It almost moves like a spider though, which is not good. What do you think it is? Mysterious creature or a hoax? This CCTV footage was captured on January 5th of 2017 in India. So a couple dudes are snoozing, they're off in dreamland, but one of them is about to have the worst nightmare of his life, because it doesn't go away when he wakes up, at least not right away. So suddenly this dude's legs start raising into the air. I do not think this is a case of sleepwalking, especially when it only gets worse. This happens. So not only does this man start getting dragged off the bed, he's getting lifted into the air. Like, this man's lower back is off the bed completely. Of course, at this point, he wakes up in a complete panic, thrashing around to get whatever the hell this thing is away from him. And suddenly, he's released and just drops back down to the bed, trying to make some sort of sense about what just happened. This is a really good video, hoax or not. This would not have been easy to fake if that even is the case. This next one is creepy, not so much for the CCTV footage itself, but for all the stories surrounding this building. So in 2023, a security camera at the Library Restaurant in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, picked up something weird. What looks like a translucent shape zipping past the lens right before the cops showed up to investigate. This place is relatively well known for its ghost stories, especially in the basement, but this was the first time the motion detectors inside the building had ever been triggered like this. The restaurant posted the clip online and said, "Last night, for the very first time, our motion detector alarms inside the building were set off by this camera motion caught on video in the dead of night outside the window." In the footage, you can see a white blur shoot past the camera and then vanish almost instantly. Again, on its own, I wouldn't really give this one much second thought, but considering the place is known to be kinda haunted, definitely makes this more interesting. One of the co-owners said she's seen things fall off shelves before, and people who've eaten here have mentioned a figure known as the Lady in White, who some have said they've seen wandering the hallways. The building itself has been around for a long time. It started out as a home back in 1785, then it was a hotel by 1833, before it burned down in 1884, and then it was rebuilt. Perfect setting for some ghosts though. And finally we have the Poltergeist. This eerie security footage was recorded at Deer Park, a 200-year-old school in Cork, Ireland. Here we see a number of strange things happening. A door at the end of the hallway slowly opens by itself before slamming shut with force. Moments later, a filing cabinet or possibly a locker starts shaking back and forth on its own. One of the locker doors swings open and all his kids' poor homework flies all over the place out of nowhere, and a nearby wet floor sign suddenly tips over. It's just an absolute mess. This thing, whatever it was not in a good mood.
Camping is supposed to be a peaceful escape. A crackling fire under the stars, the soothing sounds of nature, but in the dark wilderness, not everything is as it seems. From mysterious strangers lurking outside your tent to unseen creatures watching from the trees, the following real encounters will make you think twice about that next overnight in the woods. These are some of the most disturbing camping encounters ever caught on camera. Viewer discretion is advised. A father and daughter's relaxing forest hike turned into a scene from a horror movie when they stumbled upon a cabin surrounded by hanging mannequins deep in the woods. Gary and his daughter Amica were exploring a forest in Scotland when Amica said she heard voices echoing through the trees. Following the sounds, they discovered a remote shack decorated with dozens of old mannequins, some perched in trees on makeshift ladders, others scattered on the ground. The figures were dressed in tattered clothes and posed eerily, watching the intruders with blank faces. Outside the cabin hung bizarre, unsettling paintings adding to the nightmare scene. There was no sign of who created this disturbing display, but whoever it was clearly went through a lot of trouble to be as creepy as possible. Gary recorded the entire chilling discovery on a video titled "Terrifying Cabin in the Woods, Van Life UK." As they hastily left the area, a car was heard approaching on a nearby trail, sending a jolt of fear through the pair. Thankfully, they made it back to their van without confronting anyone, and to this day the purpose of the mannequin cabin remains a mystery, and locals whisper about who or what maintains that grotesque forest display. It is a reminder that in the wild, you might find human-made horrors lurking just beyond the next tree. A camper's worst nightmare came true when a bear ripped into a tent, and the harrowing encounter was caught on video. In a YouTube video titled "Bear Attacked Me in My Tent," solo camper Gregor from the channel documents the terrifying moment a wild bear invaded his campsite. He had set up camp alone in a dense forest, only one day to be jolted alive by the sound of snapping branches and heavy grunts right outside his thin nylon shelter. Suddenly, a black bear's snout and claws can be seen through the tent fabric, thrashing inches from Gregor's face. In the shaky footage, you can hear Gregor shouting and banging to scare the animal off. Miraculously, the bear retreated after a few tense moments and Gregor was left unharmed aside from a racing heart. The description of the video posted, quote, "It was scary. A bear attacked my tent in the forest when I was camping alone. It's better not to camp alone. Haha." The video, which was posted in 2023 and now has over 2 million views, is a stark reality check that camping in bear country means you're never alone. Even a quiet moment can turn deadly in an instant if a curious bear decides to investigate your tent. Would you spend the night in a pitch black cave rumored to be haunted? One brave YouTuber did, and his camera captured unexplained phenomena that sent him running. Australian adventurer Matt accepted a dare to camp overnight in an abandoned cave deep in the outback, believed by locals to be cursed. He filmed his experience in a video titled "Sleeping in a Haunted Cave, Never Again." At first, Matt treats it like any survival trip. He hikes 4 hours to reach the cave and crawls through narrow tunnels to find a spot to camp. By nightfall, however, things take a terrifying turn. As Matt eats his simple dinner by lantern light, a loud metallic clatter echoes from the cave entrance. He swings his camera around to find the heavy iron chain he climbed down, swaying and clanking on its own, even though no wind blows underground. "Did you hear that? Look at my arms, I've got full goosebumps," Matt whispers, showing the camera his hair standing on end. Gathering his courage, he investigates only to hear hissing, almost human-like whispers emanating from deeper in the cavern around 1 a.m. At this point, Matt's nerves break. On camera, his voice shakes as he announces, "I'm getting out of here. That sound was not normal, and I'm scared." He spends the remaining hours of darkness anxiously waiting near the cave's entrance until sunrise finally allows him to escape safely. Matt's footage from that night is bone-chilling. The moving chain and eerie noises suggest that he was not alone in that cave. Whether it was restless spirits or a hidden person, we may never know for sure, but Matt swears he will never return to that haunted cave. A solo camper's GoPro captured the heart-stopping moment a mountain lion stalked her campsite, proving you might not be the only predator around the campfire. In late 2021, outdoorswoman Nadine was backpacking in a national park in Arizona and set up camp at a remote site called Grass Shack. During the day, she noticed deer in the area acting kind of agitated, a sign that she later realized meant a big cat was nearby. Nadine heard something rustling just outside her camp, and she started recording, showing a huge mountain lion clinging to a tree trunk only 10 feet away, eyes fixed on her. The footage shows the lion's glowing eyes and muscular silhouette as it crouched, ready to pounce. Nadine can be heard speaking in a steady, firm voice, a tactic to assert dominance, while slowly reaching for her bear spray. Quote, "I lobbed rocks with one hand and had bear spray ready in the other," she later wrote. Eventually, a flock of scrub jays flew over and started to bother the cat, leading to him climbing down from the tree, and eventually he left and she packed up and hightailed it out of there. Park rangers later closed that campsite, calling it the most alarming human mountain lion encounter in decades. This experience is just a reminder that out in the wild, you are a part of the food chain. A group of friends on a camping trip captured something otherworldly streaking across the sky, a real UFO caught on camera in the wilderness. In January 2024, 5 campers were goofing around at a campground in Argentina, filming a slow-motion video for fun. They set up a phone to record one friend jumping to headbutt a volleyball, intending to play it back in slow-mo, and the group laughed and carried on, thinking nothing of it, until they watched the footage later that night. In the video's background, a bright, fast-moving object zips across the twilight sky at an impossible speed. In real time, it was too fast to notice, but slowed down, the object is clearly visible shooting behind the trees above their heads. It wasn't an airplane, no engine sound or blinking lights, and it wasn't a meteor, the path was straight and controlled. Baffled, the campers shared the clip online, where local news picked it up as a possible UFO sighting. The object appeared to be 40 meters wide and emitted no sound, and one thing is certain, that night, these friends captured something uncanny in the sky, turning a casual camping trip into an X-Files episode. A shaky camcorder video from 2001 might be one of the best pieces of Bigfoot evidence ever recorded, captured during a youth camping expedition in the mountains. The footage, known as the Marble Mountain Bigfoot video, was filmed by a youth group leader named Jim Mills on a trip in Northern California. Jim had led a dozen teens into the Marble Mountains wilderness for a week of backpacking. One evening, the group stumbled upon a strange makeshift shelter of broken tree branches that looked like a giant nest or hut. Puzzled, they kept their camcorder rolling. Soon after, one of the campers shouted and pointed at a ridge about 150 yards away. The video, which you can watch on YouTube, shows a tall bipedal figure walking upright along the ridge against the sunset. In the zoomed-in footage, the silhouetted figure appears massive and ape-like, swinging its arms as it walks. At one point, point, it even stops to crouch or possibly pick something up, then stands tall again. The kids can be heard shouting in astonishment, realizing that they might be seeing the legendary Bigfoot. Jim filmed the creature for a full 3 minutes, making this one of the longest Bigfoot videos on record. No human hiker would be casually strolling off trail at dusk in that treacherous area, and certainly not in a bulky gorilla suit in 2001's summer heat. Bigfoot researchers later analyzed the clip and noted the figure's smooth, long strides and enormous size consistent with Sasquatch sightings. Imagine waking up in your camper van at 2 a.m. to realize someone outside has locked you in from the outside. A nightmare scenario one van lifer experienced and recorded. In September 2022, a travel vlogger named Sean was stealth camping in his van on a quiet roadside in Cornwall, UK. He was trying to sleep discreetly in a no parking zone, all lights off, when he heard a car pull up and faint shuffling around his vehicle. The next morning, to his shock, the van's doors wouldn't open. As he stuck his camera out the window, he showed that there was now something wrapped around his handles, effectively locking him in from the outside. At the end of the day, he's not sure what intention the people had for him or his belongings, but I think we're all just glad this was the worst thing that happened. A lone backpacker's night vision camera accidentally captured pairs of glowing eyes watching him from the darkness, and he didn't even realize it until he reviewed the footage. In April 2019, a YouTuber named Jason of the Appy Mountain Truckers channel embarked on a solo camping trip in the Appalachian Mountains. He filmed his overnight adventure for his channel and unknowingly documented a mystery lurking just beyond the firelight. In the video, Jason sets up camp and settles in for a quiet night, and around 9:30 p.m. he records himself hearing a strange guttural howl echo from a distant ridge. Quote, "I've never heard anything like that," he tells the camera, describing it as a mix between a pig's snort and an ape's hoot, almost like, quote, "how velociraptors communicate in Jurassic Park." Unnerved but unable to locate the source, Jason eventually crawls back inside. A few hours later, past midnight, he wakes up again hearing crunching footsteps circling the campsite. Jason wakes to faint noises and briefly pans his flashlight around, seeing nothing, but in that brief moment, the camera captures what Jason's naked eye missed: 2 sets of fiery white eyeshine staring from the edge of the forest. The reflective glow suggests large animals, likely wolves or coyotes, observing him quietly in the dark. Chillingly, Jason didn't notice the eyes at the time. He spoke to the camera about the footsteps, chalking it up to maybe a deer, and went back to sleep. It was only later, when viewers pointed out in the comments, that he realized predators had been watching him. Jason made it through the night oblivious, but when he saw the footage, he admitted it gave him chills knowing how close unseen creatures came to his camp. A man camping in an RV awoke to the sound of a woman screaming. Travel vlogger Tom was in a remote area of Arizona camping in his truck camper amid desert silence. His video, however, shows how quickly things went from serene to dangerous. Around 3 a.m., Tom hears the screams, which wake him up, and he goes out, camera recording, to see what is happening. As he goes out to see if she needs help, he ends up hearing shots fired. Of course, this completely freaks him out, and he begins to retreat back inside of his RV. Unfortunately, this was not the end of the nightmare. As Tom is inside the RV, he then hears a banging on his RV door. He continues to hide inside of the RV when he hears this mysterious person begin trying to break in. This is all pure nightmare fuel, and I can't even imagine how terrified he must have been. In the end, the mysterious person does end up gaining access to the RV by breaking into the underbelly storage and crawling under the floor to get inside, but thankfully, Tom had an alarm that began to go off as the intruder broke in, which ended up scaring him off and possibly saving Tom from whatever grim fate may have been entering the RV. In a final encounter that will send shivers down your spine, a camper documented persistent, eerie knocks on his RV door at night from an unseen visitor who simply wouldn't go away. YouTuber Tom from the Work Less, Enjoy Life More, the same RV camper we just talked about, had another disturbing experience while camping solo in a dense forest. Tom Tom, I feel like camping just might not be for you. Tom sets up a camp in a secluded clearing and settles in for a quiet night of filming a camping vlog. Sometime in the evening, as he is cooking himself a meal, he begins to hear footsteps outside of his RV. These footsteps are persistent, and you can tell someone or something is walking out there. Throughout the night, the mysterious person continuously knocks on the RV. Some knocks louder than others, but all completely terrifying. Tom didn't sleep at all that night, and as soon as he was able, he got the heck out of there. And as he was leaving the site, he apparently saw a lawn chair where he believes the person was sitting in order to continue watching him all night. I don't know, it sounds like Tom needs to start staying in the city, alright? Let's do some hotel, some glamping, actually. From strange disappearances to chilling crimes caught on camera, these unsolved mysteries continue to haunt investigators. In December 2017, the shocking deaths of Canadian billionaires Barry and Honey Sherman left the world in disbelief. Found in their upscale Toronto mansion, the couple had their lives taken in a chilling and mysterious way, their bodies staged in an eerie semi-seated position by the indoor pool. What makes this case even more baffling is the unsettling surveillance footage captured just days before their deaths. The video shows a mysterious person walking down a sidewalk near their home just around the time investigators believe the crime took place. Though the suspect's purpose in the neighborhood remains a mystery, authorities have highlighted their very distinctive gait. Despite the wealth and prominence of the Sherman family and a hefty $35 million reward for information, no one has stepped forward to solve this chilling case. With no sign of forced entry and few clues, the case remains a mystery. What could have happened in that mansion, and who was the person on the sidewalk? Next, we are talking about Brian Randall Schaefer. On the night of March 31st, 2006, Brian Randall Schaefer, a medical student at Ohio State University, vanished without a trace after celebrating the start of spring break with friends in Columbus. The last confirmed sighting of him was just before 2 a.m. when security cameras outside a bar captured him talking to two women, then walking out of view. But despite extensive footage and a visible exit, Schaefer was never seen again. What makes his disappearance even more baffling is that there was no other publicly accessible way out of the bar at the time, yet he seemingly vanished into thin air. Police have floated several theories, including the possibility that Schaefer was a victim of foul play, perhaps linked to the smiley face serial killer theory, or even that he's living under a new identity somewhere. Adding another layer of mystery, a friend who was with him that night refused to take a polygraph test, definitely raising some suspicion. Did Schaefer really disappear, or is he hiding in plain sight? His case remains one of the most haunting unsolved mysteries in recent memory. Next, we are talking about Chris Jake Moon. In February 1998, 31-year-old Chris Jake Moon, a mother of two, was seen leaving the Oasis Casino in Mesquite, Arizona with several people, including a man in a cowboy hat who would later become the key to solving what happened to her. Hours later, Jake Moon was found with her life taken in a remote desert area near the Arizona-Nevada border, her body covered with a blue blanket. The chilling surveillance footage showed her leaving with the man, but despite the man's connection to the case and his mysterious disappearance afterward, he has never been found. Authorities believe he holds the key to unraveling this tragedy, yet with no leads or solid evidence, Chris's case remains unsolved. To this day, the question lingers. Could this man in the cowboy hat be the answer to an enduring mystery, or is there something even darker at play here? Next, we are talking about the USS Nimitz Tic Tac UFO incident. Alright, we're taking a little break from the doom and gloom. This one is a different kind of unsolved mystery. This is a UFO sighting that comes from 2004. On November 14th of that year, the USS Princeton noticed an unknown aircraft of some sort that was about 100 miles off the coast of San Diego. For 2 weeks prior to this crew had been tracking a strange flying object that would start out at around 80,000 feet before extremely quickly dropping to hover right above the Pacific Ocean. Commander David Fravor and Lieutenant Commander Jim Slate went over in 2 fighter jets, and when they arrived, they saw what at first appeared to be churning water while there was an oval shape just below the surface. After this, a white oval-shaped object appeared above the water, but it had no markings on it, like no windows, nothing that would indicate an engine, no wings, and the infrared monitors on the jet didn't pick up any sort of exhaust. The commander and lieutenant commander tried to intercept this strange aircraft, but it very quickly flew away and reappeared on the monitor 60 miles away. And when I say quickly, I mean it was moving at 3 times the speed of sound and over twice the speed of fighter jets, so faster than any kind of technology we currently have. We still don't know exactly what it was, but it was certainly beyond our current capabilities. Next we are talking about Elizabeth Liz Barraza. On January 19th, 2019, Elizabeth tragically had her life taken in her own driveway in Houston. The 29-year-old was setting up for a garage sale when a mysterious figure approached and fired 4 shots. The chilling moment was captured on a neighbor's security camera, but despite the footage, the killer remains unidentified. The footage, however, only shows a shadowy figure, too vague to identify if they were male or female. Even more haunting, the suspect may have been disguised, wearing a wig, tall boots, and a long jacket. Before the crime, a dark-colored Nissan Frontier truck was seen circling the neighborhood, and investigators believed the driver was waiting for Liz's husband, Sergio, to leave for work. Once he did, the truck parked nearby, crime took place, and then they returned afterward to confirm the deed was done. The video captures Liz's final moments. To this day, no motive has been uncovered, and Liz's husband Sergio, while never named a suspect, feels the weight of suspicion. He and his wife had been preparing for a trip to Florida to celebrate their anniversary, which is a very eerie reminder of how quickly life can be stolen. So, who could have wanted to end Liz's life, and why? The answers remain elusive, leaving this case a chilling unsolved mystery. Next we are talking about Terry Missy Bevers. On the morning of April 18th, 2016, Terry Bevers, a 45-year-old fitness instructor, had her life taken inside a North Texas church just hours before she was set to lead her 5 a.m. boot camp class. Surveillance footage caught a chilling glimpse of the criminal, a person dressed in riot gear and wearing a helmet, strolling through the church halls long before Missy arrived. This eerie footage shows the figure casually opening doors and even attempting to break into rooms with a hammer, all while wearing a vest marked police. The suspect's strange walk, with one foot pointing outward, stands out as a key detail, but despite this, their identity remains unknown. Missy's body was discovered by a class participant just before 5 a.m. Investigators found no signs of robbery, and her personal belongings were left untouched in her truck. Even more disturbing, a car was spotted circling the parking lot earlier that morning, its lights flashing on and off. As the investigation stretches into another year, the question remains, who was the person in the church and why did they commit this crime? In our number 4 spot today, we have Marilyn Bergeron. On February 17th, 2008, 24-year-old Marilyn Bergeron vanished without a trace after leaving her home in Quebec City for a simple walk. The last confirmed sighting of her was hours later at an ATM in Loretteville, where security footage captured her trying to withdraw money. Nearly 5 hours after that, she was spotted at a coffee shop, but then she disappeared. Despite several reported sightings in Ontario, none have been verified. This case has completely baffled investigators, but her family believes that foul play was involved. Just before she vanished, Marilyn had moved back to Quebec City from Montreal, saying she no longer felt safe after something traumatic happened to her there. Though the Quebec City police have kept the case open, her family has fought to have the investigation transferred to the Montreal police or the provincial police, who they believe could make more progress. Could someone have been stalking her, or did she meet her end with foul play? Marilyn's disappearance is a chilling case that still haunts her family and investigators. In our number 3 spot today, we have Maura Murray. On February 9th, 2004, 21-year-old nursing student Maura Murray disappeared without a trace after crashing her car on a remote New Hampshire road. What followed was a series of strange events that still baffle investigators. Just before the crash, Murray had withdrawn money from an ATM, bought alcohol, and sent a cryptic email to her boyfriend telling him that she would be in touch soon. The ATM footage is the last time she was known to be seen. Hours later, after the crash, a passing bus driver saw her outside the car, but she refused help and claimed she'd called AAA, though no record of such a call exists. By the time police arrived, Maura was gone. The car was found locked, with her belongings scattered inside, but no sign of where she went or why. Theories about her disappearance range from a voluntary disappearance to abduction, and some even suggest that she was targeted. The case has captured public imagination, fueled by the growth of online communities dedicated to solving it, as well as multiple media investigations. Could Maura have fled to start a new life, or was something more sinister at play? Despite extensive searches, Maura Murray's disappearance remains one of the most perplexing unsolved mysteries in recent history. In our number 2 spot today, we have Lars Mittank. In 2014, Lars Mittank, a German tourist in Bulgaria, became the center of one of the most baffling disappearances ever caught on camera. After a fight with some locals that resulted in a ruptured eardrum, Lars stayed behind when his friends flew home, but something dark started to unravel in him. As he roamed Varna Airport, his behavior grew increasingly erratic, with security footage showing him anxiously consulting a doctor before becoming convinced someone was following him. In a shocking turn, he suddenly fled the airport, leaving behind all of his belongings, including his passport and his money. The footage captures him running into the nearby woods, but despite extensive searches, Lars was never seen again. What could have driven him to flee in such a panic? Was he truly being pursued, or was his mind unraveling? The mystery of Lars remains one of the most eerie unsolved disappearances. And finally, in our number 1 spot today, we have the Hessdalen Valley Lights. For decades, strange glowing lights have been spotted in the skies above the Hessdalen Valley in Norway, baffling scientists and igniting wild theories. These mysterious orbs, which hover and dart across the night sky, are often seen flickering in bright hues of white, yellow, or red. Sometimes they move erratically, other times they seem to just hang there, still and glowing, defying any logical explanation. Is it some kind of natural electrical phenomenon, like ball lightning? The phenomenon was so consistent in the 1980s that scientists launched the Hessdalen Project to study it, even setting up cameras and sensors to catch a glimpse of the elusive lights on film. While researchers have suggested theories like ionized gases or electrical discharges caused by the valley's unique geography, nothing definitively explains the strange sightings. Could it be that the Hessdalen lights are evidence of alien visitors, or is there an even more bizarre explanation hiding in plain sight? This ongoing mystery, caught on camera time and time again, leaves us questioning what is really going on in this quiet Norwegian valley.
This one's pretty wild. The security camera in Ojai, California caught what looks like a glowing thing hovering right in front of the lens, and just a few minutes later, a glowing orb shoots up into the sky. The footage was shot using infrared, which means even if the UFO was using some kind of cloaking, the camera would have still picked it up. According to Scott C. Waring, a well-known UFO enthusiast and blogger who runs the site UFO Sightings Daily, according to him, the UFO took off into the distance right before sunrise, almost like it was trying to leave before anyone could see it in daylight. The person who captured the video said it happened sometime between 3 and 3:30 a.m. It started with a huge bright flash of light coming from a dried out riverbed across from their house. Place with no power lines, no street lights, and no electronics nearby. After that flash, this bright bluish white orb just showed up out of nowhere and slowly started rising into the sky. What's interesting is that you can see the first light of sunrise creeping over the horizon, but the orb isn't anywhere near it. The light from the sun and the light from the orb are totally different. The person who posted the video said, "I would really like any information on any reasonable explanations that could explain the phenomena in the video." This one comes from a construction site in Cathedral City, California, back in July of 2018. So a night security guard named Douglas Benfield was on shift when he spotted something weird on one of the monitors. What he saw was a super bright object slowly rising from the construction site, hovering for a second in midair, and then suddenly blasting off at crazy speed. Douglas, who was 48 at the time, said, "I was sitting there and everything just felt weird all of a sudden. Can't really explain." He said out of the corner of his eye he noticed something strange on the monitor. "So I played it back and couldn't believe my eyes. I kept watching it over and over again," he said. Right after that, he recorded the footage straight off the security screen with his phone and texted it to his son, who simply responded with, "WTF is that?" Douglas never showed the clip to anyone else at the time because life got busy, but when he came across it again later, he realized it was just too weird not to show, saying, "I cannot explain what is going on in that video, but it's extremely strange. I've watched it so many times and it still gives me chills. Back in 2018, something strange was caught on camera, but the footage stayed hidden for years. It was finally released to the public in January of 2024. The object was seen flying over a US military base in Iraq and was tracked using military infrared radar. It moved across the base and slowly lowered itself into a nearby body of water. About 17 minutes later, it popped back up and shot off at an unbelievable speed. The Pentagon officially marked it as a UAP, meaning they don't know what it was. One of the strangest things about the object was that it kept changing color. It would go from kind of see-through to solid black. And since the video was filmed using infrared, these color changes actually show that the object's temperature was shifting really fast. It was heating up and cooling down so quickly that the radar struggled to keep up with it. Dr. Matthew Zadegas, a physics professor at the University of Albany, said it was changing temperature faster than any known object. About 3 years ago, some really creepy security camera footage started making the rounds online. We see this weird, pale creature moving around in the backyard of an apartment complex in Moorhead, Kentucky. The video was caught by a CCTV camera in the area. It was first shared by Paranormality magazine on X. In the 33-second clip, you can see this tall, skinny, human-like figure crouching low near the back of the yard. It slowly creeps forward, looking around like it's checking to see if anyone's watching, then heads toward the homeowner's car. The footage blew up online. People from all over the world started guessing what the pale figure could be and where it came from. Some thought it looked like an alien, others said it looked more like a rake. No one's figured out exactly what it was, but what do you think? Just what in the hell is this thing? Now, I don't have a lot of info on this one. I believe the image first showed up on Reddit about a year back. User itchypalp_88 wrote that it was sent to them by their neighbor in Vacaville, California, who'd caught it on their Ring camera at a trailer park backing up to a creek. As for what it is, hairless cat, the chupacabra, an alien, those big black eyes definitely kind of make it look like one. As weird and freaky as this thing is though, it is oddly cute in a kind of ugly way. You know what I mean. Now this next one is clearly a drone, but doesn't make the story any less creepy. So about 5 years ago in British Columbia, Canada, a couple had a pretty creepy run-in with what they thought was just a drone, except this one got way too close for comfort. Around 11:30 p.m. on Friday, September 25th, a man named Ryan Frank noticed something weird flying right outside his window. It was a drone actively watching the house. It was next to the car looking in the window and then hovered right in front of me, Ryan said. It came so close to the window at one point it cut the strings on 2 hanging hummingbird feeders. He said the drone hovered outside his house for just under 5 minutes. I threw a beer at it at some point, but I missed, he added. Eventually the drone flew off. And the next morning Ryan checked his security footage and showed it to his girlfriend, Shayla Skates. Perfect Canadian name there. Anyway, she'd been asleep when it all happened, and she was pretty freaked out. I feel violated, she said. Who knows what this person was recording of me? How many times this drone has been recording my house, me, my child? Turns out this wasn't an isolated thing. When Shayla posted about it on Facebook, at least half a dozen people commented saying they'd seen similar drones snooping around homes in the area. In fact, just the year before, a woman named Dominique Embry had her own weird encounter. On December 18th of 2019, Dominic saw a small black drone hovering outside her window. Her security footage showed it carefully circling their cars, flying right up to their license plates, then sitting there watching her in the living room for almost 2 minutes before finally flying away. Ryan said the drone he saw was about 12 inches wide and 12 inches deep, with 4 propellers, a battery pack, and a camera strapped to it. This footage was released by the AARO, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, a group inside the US Department of Defense that's specifically in charge of looking into UAPs. The clip was made public during a US Senate hearing and has been part of their official investigation records. It was captured by an MQ-9 Reaper drone, which is a high-tech surveillance drone usually used by the military for tracking and reconnaissance. Clearly, we can see a small, round object flying across the frame. The AARO has confirmed they still don't know what the thing is. They've officially labeled it as a genuine UAP. They also said it's not the first time they've caught orbs like this on camera. There have been other sightings of similar objects, but so far, no one's been able to explain what they are or where they come from.